Hey guys, so if you'll remember, we were talking before about leptin and how leptin basically tells your body, I need more energy. It triggers hunger. Ghrelin is the twisted sister to leptin. They're always together. And when it comes to ghrelin, it's actually that sensation of, okay, I'm full. Like think Thanksgiving dinner. And at that point where you're like, okay, my pants are gonna bust and I'm full. Imagine a life where you don't have that trigger and you are just constantly eating and eating and eating and eating and eating. And then, like, next 2 hours, you're still hungry. That is something that happens when you have a ghrelin effect. Ghrelin is that trigger that tells you, hey, I'm full. We don't need it anymore. And if you have a situation where you have leptin resistance, you are more than likely going to also simultaneously have the ghrelin effect, where you're constantly eating and you're constantly hungry, and there's no amount of food you can consume that you're going to feel full. So, a really great way to ensure you don't come across that situation is don't be overly restrictive when it comes to your calories. I know that I've had, like, my mom's one of those people who tells me point blank, it's all about calories in and calories out. Yes and no. At the same time, like, it's more about what actual foods you're putting in. I would rather, if you're doing 1,500 calories a day, make sure they're the right 1,500 calories, not like, oh, I'm gonna have this protein bar, which is like 400 calories right there. And just this little tiny, that's, for the record, a really healthier option protein bar. Most of them are super high calorie content, but they're not really filling or nutrient dense. So ideally, you want to use whole foods. I've mentioned the whole food challenge before, and it is definitely a challenge for those of you who have never done it. And it's a great way for you to actually identify how much sugar is put into our food. And it's a good option for you to just have a better understanding of what foods you should be reaching for. So if you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. Again, it's going to be difficult, but worth it. But if you're consuming foods that are whole and natural, then that kind of burns at a different rate as opposed to, like, for example, if I were to burn a piece of paper versus a piece of plastic, the paper burns a lot faster. Why? It's natural. Plastic, hey, that's super toxic. Please don't burn it. But it's also not designed to burn at an accelerated rate. And it's not designed to burn at all, but it does burn. I mean, I've seen trash cans get burnt. So the point is, you want to give your body fuel that's going to actually benefit it, stuff that's going to actually work throughout it. And the best way to do that is not by restricting calories, but just by making smart choices when it comes to foods. And I'm going to give you a list of foods to actually gravitate towards already. So just write those down. Those are going to hit everything you want and everything you need as far as food wise. Protein is also one of those must haves. And for those of you who are like, I'm vegan, you don't have to eat meat. I know my mom is one of those people who are like super strict about where's your proteins. Plants have proteins, for those of you who are unaware. For example, broccoli and spinach, both of those produce 9 grams of protein per serving. So, I mean, high, super protein packed. And you don't have to eat meat. If that's something you're into, knock it out. You do you. Just make sure that you are being very selective and that you are kind of taking in small amounts. I mean, you don't need a gigantic steak that's like the size of your plate. You want to do more vegetable than meat ratios. And if you're doing, because remember, you're still getting the protein from the vegetables anyway, you slice it, because you don't get to just exclude vegetables. For those of you who are doing paleo or Atkins or anything like that, you're going to notice you need them. So there's a key to a balance. You don't have to do everything in this crazy range. Just do a little bits, and that should be fine. Another great option is to do HIIT workouts. For those of you who don't know, high intensity interval training, also known as burst. It's basically instead of doing like an hour long run, you're doing like 25 jumping jacks for 30 seconds. And then you're going to go and do like 25 push ups. And then you just constantly are turning back the activity itself and doing high intense intervals and sending. But so that's a really great way to squeeze in a workout, and it's actually going to burn calories for you a longer duration. So, hi, who doesn't want something that's going to be one, more effective, and two, quicker to do? I'm on board right now. Totally done. Other options are obviously de-stress. We talked about stress being an integral part in every single facet of weight loss. So make sure you are getting your stress reduction techniques in. If you do not have them, make sure you check out the stress section. I've already done a ton of videos. I know I'm going to end up doing more. So when I do, I'll let you know. But until then, see the other ones. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep. And again, it's more of quality versus quantity. Ideally, you still want to get like 6.5 to 7 hours a night. And I would also highly recommend for those of you who don't detox regularly, and by regularly, I mean bare minimum, you should be doing a detox, even if you're like crazy, super duper healthy, a detox once a season. Every season, the environment goes through changes. So does your body. And the best way to kind of put your body in the best possible setup for success is to basically wipe the slate clean and start anew. You're basically like clearing the board. And that's exactly what detoxing is. It's not a cleanse where you are wiping literally everything and everyone out of your system. So you just want to do something that's going to be more natural, more subtle. I do offer a detox. So for those of you, and anything that I have in my programs, I always incorporate a detox as part of it. It's at a shorter duration, but because so many people need it, I know to actually incorporate it in. So again, those are all great ways for you to help kind of rein ghrelin back in. And again, for those of you who weren't paying attention, ghrelin is that hormone that tells you I'm satisfied or I'm not satisfied as far as food. It's not like my life isn't going the way I want it to be. Ghrelin, you must be there. No, just for food. It just tells you when you're full and when you're not full. All right, make sure you check back for our next video. It's going to be awesome.